Hero transitions are a nice and easy way to get a simple animation between two screens. But what if you don't want it? To enable or disable it, use Hero mode. First, find that hero and then wrap it in a hero mode. Then using the enabled property, you can say whether or not this hero has its animation powers. You could do this dynamically, enabling or disabling the hero based on some change, like if the widget is a certain size. Or maybe explicitly disable it in a part of the tree you know doesn't need a hero. But when is that? The hero animation collaborates, like all good heroes, with a navigator to keep track of what the widget needs to do between routes. But what if there are multiple navigators? Which one takes care of the hero? This can happen if you have multiple tabs and a separate navigator within each tab. But in that case, there's still the global navigator keeping track of which tab is currently active. You might then want to disable the hero animation for one of those routes. Are you tired of implementing binary search for the third time this week? Do you wish to compare collections by deep equality? Are you in need of generating transitive closures for your directed graphs? Or would you just like to get some help dealing with lists, maps, and sets in your app? Package collection is your answer for all of those and more. This package is one of those included in the Flutter SDK itself, so all you need to do is import it. Let's say you have two lists and you want to check if they contain the same elements in the same order. Just use list equality and you're done. Do your two collections contain other collections? You may want to use deep collection equality. Do you need to implement a priority queue in which higher priority elements always get removed first? No problem, just use the priority queue class. Want to expose a set of elements without allowing others to change it? Use unmodifiable set view. That way, no one can accidentally modify that returned set. Want to group a list of elements by some attribute? Just use the group by function. It will create a map that points from the selected attribute to a list of members that share that attribute. Have an iterable of numbers and wish you could get the total sum of them? Package collection gives you an extension that does just that. But how about the average? Yep, it's there. There are dozens of other very useful functions, classes, and extensions in package collection. This is one of those packages that really deserves to be studied top to bottom.
Have you ever thrown your phone across the room and wanted to know when it stopped moving? There are sensors that can help. To access them, try the Sensors Plus package. This gives you access to two sensors, the accelerometer and the gyroscope. For each one, you can get a stream. The accelerometer event stream, for example, tells you where your phone is going. The stream sends events that contain the X, Y, and Z values for how fast the phone's position is changing. But what do those numbers actually represent? Imagine your phone as a single point in space. It's not moving, right? Maybe not, but you're on a planet with gravity, right? So even if it doesn't look like it, it's actually trying to move down. On Earth, at least, if nothing else is happening, the up-down direction, that's Y if you're holding the phone upright, always has a constant 9.8 meters per second squared downward force. But sometimes, gravity is just a little too much. In that case, swap out accelerometer events with user accelerometer events. That tells you about the phone's movement without gravity. Hold the phone perfectly steady, and its change in position in every direction will be 0. Next up, imagine your phone as a flat, upright square. Now tilt it. But how did it move? And is it continuing to tilt even more? Like the accelerometer, Sensors Plus gives you access to the gyroscope via a stream that sends events. Listening to it gives you gyroscope events when things change. It, too, includes an X, Y, and Z. These represent how the orientation, the tilt, of the phone is changing, but keep it totally still and everything will be 0. Do something radical like turning it to the left and you'll see some new numbers for how fast it's turning. What do you do with all this information? Anything, but maybe save that data before the phone comes crashing down. When interacting with a phone, your input mechanisms are pretty limited. Have you ever tried to tap a single pixel but not the pixels around it? That might be impossible on a phone, but on other platforms we have something else, a mouse. To know if a mouse is within a particular area, use the mouse region widget. Just take the widget that should be aware of mice and wrap it in a mouse region. Then you'll be able to know if a mouse is within that region. To start, give the user some indication of this by changing the pointer to something else with the cursor property. The most common cursors are defined in the System Mouse Cursors class, like Basic, Text, Click, or Forbidden. Mouse region then has a series of callbacks that you can use for listening to mice. OnEnter will be called when a mouse first appears inside the space that this mouse region takes up. That callback is given a pointer enter event, giving you things like the coordinates for the mouse or whether the button is being pressed. OnHover and OnExit are similar, being called every time the mouse changes position within the widget or leaves the widget. Now, you might think that for every time OnEnter is called, OnExit will also be called. After all, what enters must also leave, right? Nope. What if the widget simply disappears? Sometimes the mouse region might leave the widget tree. This does not count as the mouse exiting, and the OnExit callback will not be called. Text is neat, but it can be boring if it just sits there, which is fine for most text, to be honest. But once in a while, you need a short piece of text to really shine. One way to make text exciting is to animate it, and one easy way to animate text in Flutter is to use the Animated Text Kit package. Start with the Animated Text Kit widget. Then, give it some animated texts. It can be just one if you're trying to animate a single piece of text. Here, we're using a typer animated text for that typing out effect. Very neat. But Animated Text Kit is especially useful for going through several different texts. Just add more members to the animated texts parameter. Now, the widget will rotate through the different texts and their animations. You can choose from many different animations. This one is called Rotate Animated Text, and this one is Scale Animated Text. Here's Colorize Animated Text, and there's more. With Animated Text Kit, you can quickly try a lot of effects and see if they fit in your app. Then, if you want something more custom, it's easy to implement it yourself. The code is just a click away. But in many cases, Animated Text Kit is all you need. Even with over 100 episodes, Widget of the Week has still only scratched the surface of the hundreds of widgets in the Flutter framework. There are a lot more for us to get through, with new widgets and new packages being added constantly. Thank you for being with us along this journey of exploring obscure widgets, common widgets, and so many others in between. Your comments, views, and excitement for learning more all about Flutter widgets keeps us going, and for this, our 100th episode, we bring you the Flutter Logo widget. If you need a dynamic Flutter logo, just use the Flutter Logo widget. You can give it a size to make it bigger or smaller, but it doesn't stop there. Add in the style parameter to add the Flutter title. By default, it's mark only to just display the logo, but you can set it to horizontal for Flutter to appear next to the logo or stacked to have it below. The Flutter Logo widget also has built-in support for animations. The curve property changes how those animations happen. Set it to a curve like bounce in, out, and then change the size to see it bounce in and out. And then change the duration to slow it down. All of this is powered by an animated container and a special Flutter logo decoration to handle painting the logo onto a canvas. You're the reason we've made it to 100 episodes of Widget of the Week. Thank you for watching and being with us. And, as always,